when a person actually chooses to become a follower or a disciple of Jesus, they still have the same problems. They still have the same family. They just went from a place that the only family that has greater problems than your family is God's family. He's got problems. There's everybody's there. But what happens is that once you come to that place of commitment with God and that place of following, and you are locked in, and you feel almost like, oh God, I hope you don't ask me to do something stupid, because I'm going to do it, because I'm not me anymore. And what happens is that we're to change the way that we think about something, because we're going to think the same things. He never told you to change what you were thinking. He said, you change the way you think about it. So let's talk about lust for a minute. Lust is interesting. Girl's walking down the street, or let's say you meet her, she's in your office or wherever. And man, you can't stop having these thoughts of like, I am really having trouble getting this girl, out of my mind. I don't want really anything to do with her, but I'd really like to have a go at this. And you then become a Christian. So you see the same girl every day. Now, you have the same feelings that come to you. And the response isn't, you know what, I'd like to have a go at this. The response is, I'll never covet my neighbor's wife. It's not changing what you think, it's changing the way you think about it. Like, for money, I'm never, you know what, I just want to get mine. Oh, wait a minute. I sit around and ask God for money to give to people. I have to watch myself. I really do. That in personal relationship every day, that people don't take me wrongly, because I only have one desire, and that is to be able to give. That's all I care about. As society is moving toward the end of the age, godlessness begins to take over. People don't understand that there's no place on earth like America. And I'm not talking about the fact of, because we're this democracy that seems to have had a pretty decent run. But what I'm talking about is that there are no people on the face of the earth like Americans. Americans are considerate, they're kind, they're thoughtful, and for the most part, they'd give you the shirt off their back in most cases. But yet now we're coming into an age to where that's mine, and I'm not going to do anything. Husbands and wives have different bank accounts. There are people that just, they don't even have lives together anymore. They're not really a family any longer. No. What they are is they're two individuals that came together because one of the first things that God said about Adam, or he tells Adam, he says, now, it's not good for man to be alone. And people had this idea that he was creating Eve to be Adam's wife, to have kids. That's not true. He said, it's not good for man to be alone. He said, I'm going to make a helper for him, because it takes two to be able to multiply anything. You can't multiply anything by one. 1 times 10 is 10. That's it. So you have both sides of that. But 2 times 10 is 20. Ecclesiastes chapter 4 talks about 2 are better than 1 because they have a better reward for their labor. So I think that we're racing toward the end of the age where selfishness, and 2 Timothy chapter 3 talks about that in the latter times some will depart from the faith, giving heed to these seducing spirits. They have no natural affection. They're all about self. They're willing to use people. And all of those things were things that became so discouraging to me that I didn't want to live anymore in my 20s. I never thought that I ever needed a contract with anyone. I never thought that. Now people write contracts not to keep them, but to break them. You know, that what loophole can I figure out about this commitment that I'm making? And that is what we, as the body of Christ, face in our assignment to be able to change, because we are the only thing that stands between the blessing of man and the destruction of mankind.